Hi everyone, my name is Joe Blewitt. I'm a member of the O'Connell clan, the Dan and Tot O'Connell clan. And I'm here today with Sally O'Connell, also known as Sarah O'Connell, or born as Sarah O'Connell, goes by Sally. And we're doing a little project where we're going to try and record some of the history of the O'Connell family. And we have some representatives of the sisters in that family here today with us, as well as some folks that are going to just ask some general questions about background of the O'Connell family, and maybe we'll get into some ancestry as well a little later.
Okay, good, Joe.
But the whole idea here is to just document some information with our very young 95-year-old aunt, Sally, who is the matriarch of the family, and just try and get a video documentation that we can share with other members of the family, and I guess, as you said, to make sure that we have prosperity. How did you say it the other day when you told me?
Posterity.
Posterity, correct.
Posterity. So they can see us as we were.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to this. We're all looking forward to this, and we're just going to get started by I'm going to kind of ask some questions about, have Aunt Sally give a little bit of her general background. So let me start with that. So, Aunt Sally.
Yes, Joe.
You were born Sarah O'Connell, and when were you born? What was your birth date?
April 23, 1929.
Amazing. The year of the Depression.
The Depression started in October 29. The great crash in the stock market occurred.
Wow. Interesting time to be born.
Yes.
Now, where were you born?
St. Vincent's Hospital, Montclair, New Jersey.
And you're the youngest sister, right, of the O'Connell
Yes.
family? And,
I was the youngest of 5 daughters.
And who are your sisters?
Kathleen, Virginia, Irene, Jean, and then I was the last.
And I'm sure the favorite of your mom and dad, right?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I think the youngest, they all think they're the favorite.
Oh, okay.
And the second youngest is actually the favorite, so just so you know.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So, so you're born in 1929.
Yes.
Just before the Depression started.
Correct.
And just on history, how long did the Depression last for?
Well, it eased up towards the end of the 1930s because there was a lot of defense work, and that provided jobs for a lot of people that didn't have jobs. So people became much more prosperous at that time.
So, going back to your earliest memories, most people, I think, start getting memories when they're 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, different people have different, long-term memories on that. But in your early memories, do you remember that things were tough, like when you look back on it, or was you were just growing up as a young girl and
well, I just thought that was the way it was. I knew that we couldn't buy everything we would have liked to have, but we had the basic necessities. We never went hungry, that's for sure. And I think my mother was a good manager, and she had to pinch pennies, but we always had good meals. And we had some fun. We would go on picnics in the summer and go to a lake and swim. And there were some good memories.
And talking about your mom and dad, your mom is also Sarah.
Correct.
She went by a nickname of?
Tot.
Now, your dad was Daniel Xavier, correct?
Daniel, yes.
Daniel Xavier O'Connell. And what did your father do for work?
He worked for the New York Stock Exchange. He started there when he was 16 years old. My parents did not go to high school.
No kidding.
And in fact, and most middle class families at that time, a lot of children didn't go to high school, but some of them became very successful despite that lack. And only the very rich went to college.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there wasn't college that was, like state college that was inexpensive, or that was, all of the
No.
colleges were kind of out of the reach of the middle class, is that what you're
Most
saying?
of them were. Most
Interesting.
of them were out of reach.
And we could talk, maybe we'll talk about this later, but I think after World War II, when the VA programs became available, that changed quite a bit, correct?
You're right. And the colleges were crowded because the veterans all got free tuition. And a lot of things became crowded after the war. And there was a housing shortage with all the men returning from war. And it was an interesting time. Everybody was very happy, of course, that the war was over and things were starting to get back to normal.
So your dad worked at the stock exchange, the New York Stock Exchange. What did he do?
Well, as far as I know, the floor of the New York Stock Exchange had all these different booths owned by different brokerage firms.
Okay.
And of course they had no computers, and they might be selling stocks at a certain booth, and they had these runners that would take the transaction to another booth. Because you know, it's hard to imagine a world without all these instant computers. So they had to run back and forth with all these transactions.
So was he a runner then? Is that kind of a title?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, maybe
There's
he was. a
people
runner.
on the floor that,
Yes.
I think they were called runners.
Yes.
But he
yes.
basically, he helped to make, he was involved in the execution of the transactions to make that happen.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's it.
And how long did he work there? You said he started when he was 16.
Yeah.
His whole
Well,
career, right? Am I?
He had to retire at the age of 65. Now,
Wow.
my father came down with a very bad case of arthritis, I think in the late 20s. And so that limited him. And he couldn't do the same work. So they gave him another job with a sit-down job.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is my grandfather we're talking about.
Right.
I remember him having arthritis pretty bad in the hands, but
Yes.
I've never heard that before. I always thought that just happened later in life. I didn't know he had it as a
No,
young
I
man.
think it happened in the late 20s.
In his late 20s?
No, in the late 1920s.
So when he was, just after he was, you were born then. So maybe
Yes,
he was maybe in his early 30s or something.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget the exact.
But either way, most of his adult life, he had arthritis.
Oh, yes, unfortunately.
And somewhat
he did.
debilitating.
Unfortunately, he did. Mhm.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Something new I learned. I didn't know anything
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Now, my older sisters were born in New York,
Okay.
which is worth mentioning. I think the family moved from New York to Montclair around 1920 or 21. And at that time, they had 3 children, Kathleen, Virginia, and Irene. And they moved to Montclair because my mother had cousins in Montclair.
Okay. Interesting.
They-
So let's talk a little bit about your life. You grew up in Montclair.
Yes,
And what kind of a student were you?
I was a good student.
Right.
I was a good student.
Did you have a favorite, like, did you enjoy math versus English, or what would you say, like?
I liked math,
Okay.
and I liked English. I didn't like history too much.
But you like talking about it now.
Yes, yes.
That's interesting.
Because I'm part of history.
Boom. Quote that. You are history. We're sitting here for
Yes.
the 95 years of history. It's incredible.
Yes. And
So you were a good student. Did you play sports?
we didn't have sports in grammar school. In high school, I played basketball.
You did.
Yes.
Were you a guard or a forward? You're a little bit tall for
I
most.
was a guard. I was a guard.
You were, okay.
Yeah, they had different rules for girls. You know, they didn't play by the same rules as the boys.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Must be interesting to, I'm not sure if you've seen there's a really good basketball player now. Her name is Caitlin Clark. She's probably the best female, basketball player, at least in a long time.
Oh, I
I
haven't.
bet you it'd
heard.
be interesting for you to watch her. And she's a guard, so.
Oh, okay.
Times have changed a little bit since
They certainly
basically the
have
30s
changed.
when you were
Well,
playing basketball.
We went to the local parish school. They had a grammar school and then a high school. And we all went there.
Excellent. Now, what about, so you went through, after high school, what was your next step in life?
I went to college. I went to Caldwell College for Women, as it was called at that time.
An interesting side note to that, how far away do you live today from Caldwell College?
Just across the road.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you study in college?
Well, they had a business division, and that's where I went. We had typing and stenography and accounting and things like that. Then we had some cultural courses, like I remember music appreciation, of course, religion and philosophy.
Was it a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree?
Oh, 4 years. 4
Interesting.
years, yeah.
Now, you said something earlier, I have to probe a little bit here. You said that in order to go to college in those days, you had to be more of the upper class or richer folks. So
Well,
this would have been after the
Yeah.
war and you were not a veteran, so
yeah, well,
let's,
the tuition at this college was very low,
okay.
and I got help from a friend of the family who helped me to go there.
Who was that friend?
He was a priest.
Very interesting.
Yes, yes.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, so you graduated from college, and so I'm just going to do a little math here. So 1929, so probably about 22 years, about maybe 1950,
We
51?
graduated in 1950
Yeah,
from the college,
okay.
yes.
It's post-war era. What was your first job after college?
The first job was in a place in Montclair. It was called the Garden State Title Insurance. And I was kind of scared to death at my first job, but I got through it. And I worked there for maybe 6 months. And I decided I wanted to work in New York. So I went to New York and I applied at J.P. Morgan and Company.
Okay.
And I was given a job.
Wow.
And I started out in the steno pool. And of course, everybody's a little frightened at their first job or the first day on the job. But I grew to like that job very much. And I made a lot of nice friends in New York. Most of my co-workers were New Yorkers. They lived in Brooklyn and Queens. And we had a nice social life there too.
So what does that mean? Did you go out to the bars after work, or what does that mean? No? No?
We went to lunch together. They provided us a free lunch, so we all lunched together.
That's
And it was
excellent.
a happy time.
So were you living in Montclair at this time?
Yes, by this
And
time
commuting into New York,
we
right?
were in Montclair, and I took the train to Hoboken,
Yeah.
and then at Hoboken you boarded the ferry, You went across the Hudson River, which I think is about a mile wide,
Yep.
right there. And then you got out and you walked through the Washington Market. Did you ever hear of that?
Sure.
And it was all food stalls. They sold all kinds of food. And it was about a 10 or 15 minute walk to my office.
What did you wear to work when you worked for J.P. Morgan as a
Always
stenographer?
a skirt or dress. You always had to be nicely dressed. And you had to wear a hat to work. We had this director of personnel who insisted on you had to wear a hat and gloves to work.
I think when several years ago, we had a conversation about this topic, and you told me that there was, I guess, the head, whoever you reported to, or otherwise who was responsible for the pool,
Yeah.
that she would inspect you or the others. I don't know if it was a
Yeah.
regular basis, an everyday basis. What was that like?
Well, it wasn't an inspection where you were lined up. She would walk around, and if she found somebody that didn't follow her rules, they got a lecture about it.
Interesting.
Actually, she was a very nice woman, but at that time, how you dressed was very important.
Especially at J.P. Morgan, I would
Oh,
imagine.
yes. Today, they go in just about anything, I think. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I think they do.
But,
They, as in, I'm part of that, I guess. But,
Yeah. but you know, I liked that job, and I liked getting dressed up in the morning.
now, who did you work for? I think, didn't you
Well, I
eventually become an assistant or
up
secretary?
As secretary to Thomas S. Lamont. He was vice chairman of the board, and I loved that job very much.
That must have been a promotion to.
Yes, it was.
You must have been really good at your job.
I guess I was pretty good, and I always enjoyed it. I never minded going to work, and I was happy in that job.
So, but how long did you work there then, would you say? It doesn't have to be exact, but
Well,
approximately.
Mr. Lamont died, I think it was 1969,
Wow.
and then after that, they didn't know exactly what to do with me, so they sent me to work up at the Park Avenue office, which was just opening. It was at Park Avenue and 48th Street.
Okay. I know that neighborhood.
So that was a new experience. But I never loved that job the way I had loved the one on Wall Street, 23 Wall Street. And so I became restless after a couple of years, and I decided I would become a nurse.
That's a big change.
It
Drastic
was a very
change.
big change, but I was tired of New York, and I wanted to be back in New Jersey all the time, and that's what I did.
Very interesting. So how did you do that? Did you have to go back to school, obviously, and where did you
Well,
go?
I
And-
went to Felician College in Lodi, New Jersey. It was I think it was a 2-year course,
Mhm.
and after that you could take your state boards, and if you passed, you were a registered nurse.
Yeah, amazing.
Hmm.
So you did pass.
I passed my boards.
And where did you go to work?
The first place I worked was Mountainside Hospital in Montclair. Just a regular floor nurse. And that was very difficult, becoming adjusted to being a nurse. It's a very demanding profession,
Mhm.
and I didn't like working in the hospital, so I became a visiting nurse.
Right.
And I enjoyed that. That was much nicer.
So I want to go back a little bit because I'm missing a time period when I was growing up. So around mid 1970s or so, early 1970s. I remember you being the caregiver to Grandma and Grandpa, Tot and Dan, and you lived with
Yes.
them in Montclair.
They,
And was that in between jobs, or were you also working as a nurse full time and I didn't know that? like, because you took care of them for many years, you lived with them.
Well, I can't say I took care of them full-time.
Okay,
They needed a lot of help because they were both in their 80s at that time, I guess. They needed a lot of help, but we got outside people to come in and help them.
but you also lived with them for a little while.
Oh, yes, I did. We had a nice big apartment,
Yes.
and I enjoyed being there. Yes.
And you were a great help to them. That's my
I hope
memory.
I was. I hope I was. And then my mother died in December 1984. My father died 7 months later on July 17, 1985.
Wow.
Mhm.
I would like you to tell us about your mom and dad, like what kind of people they were. Tell me about your mom first, Grandma, Todd O'Connell.
Yeah. Well, she was a hard-working mother. I mean, she always produced nice meals, and that's how women were at that time. Oh, she finally got a little job
Ah,
as a cashier in a high school cafeteria, and she enjoyed that little bit of independence. My father couldn't drive a car or do anything like that, so he stayed at home. And by that time, television was part of everybody's life. And my father used to watch a lot of television. And he liked to read the newspapers. And he kept himself up on things.
was he a sports fan?
No, he never became
think
too
so.
interested in sports.
So were your mom and dad disciplinarians? Were they tough on you as kids, or were you
Not
just
too
all
much.
angels anyhow and they didn't
Not
need
too
to be
much.
tough?
Not too much. I know when I was young, I was a very poor eater, and they used to beg me to eat, and I wouldn't eat, and but they weren't difficult parents.
I always remember you as slender.
Yes, I
Not
was.
not overly thin, but you seem to keep yourself in good shape.
Yes.
Didn't you like to swim as well?
Well, I love to swim, and a big thing in our lives was going to a lake to swim, and there were lots of lakes in New Jersey,
Yeah.
and my mother would drive us to the lakes in the summertime. There was one called Forest Hill Park,
Okay.
which I think is in part of Wayne, and it was, I think it cost about $10 for a season ticket, and that included everybody in the car. And my mother would bring along a nice meal, and she would cook it over a fireplace. And then some of their friends, you know, they had friends in their own age group, and they would come along, and we had nice group picnics.
Okay.
And the lake was good. I used to jump into the lake as soon as I got there, and they had to kind of pull me out when it was time to go home.
Yeah.
And we had a nice picnic meal there. And
You know, I can see you smiling as you tell about this.
yeah,
This seems like it was one of the
it was
happiest
a-
parts of your childhood.
It
Is
was a
that correct?
happy time.
Yeah.
A
That's
very
awesome.
happy time. I guess I was still in grammar school at that time. Because when the war came around, gas was rationed, and we didn't take many auto trips like
Sure.
that.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, somehow
you-
you,
you
somehow
don't-
you still stayed happy.
yes,
Interesting.
yeah. But everybody loved those picnics, and I did too.
One,
And we always had a second-hand car. And the car that I remember most was a big old Packard,
ah,
which I don't think they make anymore.
but if you kept that you would be a millionaire today, probably, if you still had
Really?
it. Oh, yeah.
And I don't think there was a trunk in the car. You piled all the things you wanted to take along on one side of the car, and there was sort of an expandable gate that held them there.
Right.
And that car was kind of an old record, but it got us where we wanted to go, so we were happy with it. Yeah.
Tell me about your holidays as a child growing up. What were they like? And
The holidays?
maybe, what was Christmas like?
Well, Christmas was kind of a magical time. And of course, your mother was the closest sister I had. And we didn't prepare the Christmas tree weeks ahead of time the way they do now. I think my parents would go out on Christmas Eve and buy the Christmas tree.
Okay.
And they probably paid 50 cents for it. And they would send us to bed early, and then they would put up the tree and decorate it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would go to midnight mass and they would leave us at home.
Wow.
And then after midnight mass, they invited all their cousins and relatives back for breakfast. And they had a nice big breakfast. And your mother and I would be at the top of the stairs trying to see what was going on. Then finally they would say, okay, you can come down. And the presents were all around the Christmas tree. And of course we thought that was wonderful to get those presents. And it was a happy time. And then on Christmas Day, after all this, my mother would get up early and get the dinner ready.
Yep.
And we always had a big turkey, and she made pies. She made pumpkin pie and mince pie, and then some of the, Uncle Jim and Aunt Frances would come out from New York. Aunt Kitty and Uncle Bob would come for dinner. Oh, we had a lot of people around the table for dinner. And it was always a delicious dinner with stuffing in the turkey and cranberries and I always loved Christmas.
Absolutely. So listen, I'm going to wrap up here, and we're going to transition to the next group of questions. We're going to take a little break. But thank you. Super interesting.
Well, thank you, Joe. You bring back lots of memories to me.